When putting together your attire, it really helps you think of a certain time and place. There you'll do your research, you'll do your character background, you'll decide exactly what it is that you want to portray. Myself, I've taken an avid interest in the colonial hunters who worked for George Morgan, an English trader who has base was out of Kakaski, Illinois from 1766 to 1771. He was the first English trader into the area. He hired sometimes as many as 24 to 30 hunters in one bateau to go up the Cumberland River and hunt buffalo beef to supply the British garrisons during the wintertime and to hunt the Virginia red deer in the summertime for the price of the hides. These hunters, young men like Simon Girty, experienced hunters like William Baker, brigade leaders like Joseph Hollinshead. These men bought and traded clothing and equipment in George Morgan's stores. And these records have given me valuable insights into what it is that I want to collect and put together for my personal outfit. And because of their records, because I knew a certain time and place it is that I wanted to study, I've been able to narrow down my interest and been able to cut out my wasted expenditures. I have also been able to eliminate a lot of the misinformation I would give myself and those who see me when I partake in living history events. As one of George Morgan's hunters, I've decided to go with a combination of both woodland Indian and European dress. And that's why I wear center seam moccasins. I have some beadwork on them, although not all my moccasins do. These are pound beads. These were white beads, very common in the Illinois country in the 18th century, and they're irregular in shape, and they were sold by the pound. I don't know how old these beads are. They could very well be 200 years old themselves. I know that Simon Girty paid George Morgan for garters made by an Indian. We don't know what they look like. We don't know what material they're made out of. They could have been beaded. They could have been quilled. Could have been woven. I wear the typical side seam leggings that were so common with the woodland Indians, although I've cut the flaps off to trim down on my silhouette a little bit to make them a little bit more practical for running through the woods. I tuck in my leggings into my moccasins and tie it off tight based on contemporary drawings of the period. I wear a wool breech clout in the wintertime and a linen one in the summer, because most of Morgan's hunters, when they went in and traded for supplies, bought breech clout and leggings from Morgan, and only one of them that I've ever researched bought a pair of pantaloons. 8 out of the 24 hunters, though, that I've studied wore shoes. So there's always exceptions to what you think is proper. There would be nothing wrong with me wearing good, sturdy colonial shoes of the working class. 8 hunters bought them just a few days before they went on a fall hunt in 1768. I wear linen hunting shirts. The linen hunting shirts I wear all of them are pullover. This one, though, that I wear during hot weather, or this is the outside one I wear during the wintertime, I've laid down on the ground and put a knife in the middle and ripped it down the front. And so when I wear multiple layers of linen shirts, I can put this one on the outside and wrap it in tight, and it'll keep everything bundled up closer to me and keep my body warmer. And it's also very practical for when it's hot out. I wear a sash tied in the back because of Joseph Doddridge made his living as a young man weaving sashes for powder-horn straps, for belts, for garters. And one fella who was late getting to Rice's Station during the Revolutionary War ran for his life, and an Indian went up and grabbed him from behind and pulled on him, but his woven belt, maybe one that Joseph Doddridge made himself, came undone because it was tied with a bow tie, and the Indian was left standing with a sash in his hand, and the man was able to turn around and fire off his rifle and kill the Indian and get safely to the fort. You may not want to be a hunter of George Morgan's. Maybe you're interested in the French and Indian War 10 years before, perhaps Pontiac's Rebellion, or the Revolutionary War period or after. You have to decide that specific time and place that you want to do your research in, and you can get a more exact reflection of that personality. You can get a more proper interpretation of a persona that might have been in existence during that time period. But if you're interested in the French and Indian War, and you're going to interpret that, and you don't want to wear a breech clout and leggings, then French fly breeches are a good choice, although they weren't the only kind available at that time. And when I talk about these different outfits, and myself included, I find it very safe to do what is called a common interpretation, rather than going for the exception or the folk hero, the outstanding legend. I've tried to reflect a basic or common hunter that would have been with George Morgan. I'm not the brigade leader. I'm not the worst hunter. I'm just an average guy. That's always a handy rule and a good rule to remember. It makes your interpretation much more believable, for there were many more common men on the frontier than there ever were legends and folk heroes.